All right, here we are another week around the trash fire. Your host Matthias, along with the boy.
John.
Well, it's a very short news week. Not much in the Warhammer area, but we have been pretty blessed with the news so far. The last few weeks that we've had it. Surprised we're not getting much Star Wars Legion news, but then that's very.
That's not surprising to me considering they drop like one thing a month.
I know.
So
I was gonna say
we're
it's very
spoiled with him
bite-sized
for
news.
dropping everything every week.
Well, I mean, new edition on the way. You gotta
Yeah.
keep the hype train rolling. Gotta keep it rolling. Well, let's just jump into where we always start in, and that would be our preview. So, looks like we're getting a combat patrol for world eaters, which I mean it's not bad, but it's kind of like everything you'd get out of a world eater box, right?
Mhm.
New the new sculpts of the berserkers, the jackals, and the guy on the juggernaut. Uh, yeah, not bad. I'm actually really surprised that they didn't go with Karn for this box set.
Um, at least it's not at least it's not special character.
Right. That's
But yeah, considering Typhus and Arimon are in theirs, yeah, it is a surprise that Karn's out in this one.
but if you're looking for your starter pack for World Eaters or just some corn berserkers in general, there you go. Not a bad buy. So we got that. Getting some made to order of the old Chaos Space character Space Marine characters. You wanna get a piece of history there. Abaddon, Typhus, Ahriman, Fabius, Karn. Um,
Chaos Lord.
is that just a generic Chaos Lord?
Yep. Two Chaos Lords.
Two Chaos Lords, some old Legion models, and the classic Demon Prince. All stuff you could get if you really wanted. I don't know why when you couldn't. I mean, honestly, Ahriman still holds up in my opinion, and so does Typhus to a degree.
Yeah, if in terms of the design, they still hold up. The size, no. I mean, even Karn's design is pretty neat for what it is. He'll just be tiny compared to the new one.
Right.
The Demon Prince, I think, is the one that holds up the most, just because it's a demon.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's classic right there. That's the one. That's the one we started with. That Demon Prince. But yeah, if you want to get some history, go for it. Some made to order stuff. Underworlds, we're getting that new Underworlds team that they showed off last convention. I forget what it was called. But it is the Zinch and the Sigmarines team. Again, both very cool looking models. I again will just wait till the Zinch team becomes on its own. Just to paint it up, just to make it look cool. That is coming on our way. Middle
I hope
Earth.
that'll come out on its own.
Huh?
That'll be. I hope that'll come out on its own.
Why wouldn't it come out on its own?
The past two starter set teams have come out together, so like the last starter set was a bundle of the storm, not the Skaven and the Dark Elves, and the one after that. Sorry, so that was the one 2 editions ago or 2 box sets ago. The last one was the Graveguard and the other people, the Chaos Worshippers, and they were also, I believe, they came together as well. So I do hope that these ones come separately, but I don't know.
I feel like they would come separately, but
It just
you.
historically the past two ones came together.
I
It
see.
was a pack of two teams.
That's very disheartening to hear. All right then. Well, I hope they come separately, because again, I only really want the Zinch team, but
Right.
guess we'll find out. Middle Earth, we're getting that head statue terrain piece. If you want to build up your Middle Earth or fantasy terrain,
Yeah, it's a cool one.
you can have a head of a statue. The paint sets are finally coming out. So if you want to get your hands on a bunch of paints, which I'm sure would be at a discounted price. Have they released the price information? Or has they leaked yet for
It's
this
probably
stuff?
leaked, but it's a discount. It's not just a box thing. I believe this is cheaper than buying them individually.
So if you, for some reason, want all the colors uh, at a discounted price, now's your chance to get it. Getting 15 bases, 15 layers, 9 contrast paints, 9 washes or shades, I should say. Uh, Now's the time to get it. If restock, build up your collection, have a fully stocked paint, for whatever occasion you may need it for. Now's your chance. Black Library, we're getting Rogodorn, German, Stormcaller, and audiobook. Warhammer Plus, Black Talon episode 3, as well as a battle report of the new Lizardman. And of course, Warhammer Fest is coming Saturday. Be the first day of Warhammer Fest, so we'll have to rewatch last week's episode and see if our predictions are anything close of our predictions. So all interesting stuff there. So that's our Sunday preview. Of course, next up, again, not much news out there. We're just gonna go straight into the 10th edition rules that have dropped. And first up, we're looking at is the vehicles, transports to be specifically. So it looks like they're giving transports a bunch of special rules to make them more appealing, I guess. Would be the word I would use. Not that transports weren't really, you know, not that they weren't like lacking, but obviously there was definitely a lot more transports that were taken more than others, to say the least. I'm looking, falcons over wave serpents. But here we go. We got a firing deck rule is coming up here. So the Chimera here would have firing deck 2, and other transporters will have X amount. It's each time a model is selected to shoot in the shooting phase, you can select up to X models embarked within it. For that embarked models, you can select one range weapon that is equipped until that transport model has resolved all its attacks. It counts as being equipped with all the weapons you selected in addition to its own weapon. So it's basically kind of like open top. Basically, except probably better ballistic skill depending on the vehicle and the unit that's inside of it, since it's counted as the vehicle that's shooting. So that's nice. Of course, it comes back with the orc vehicle, the mech with his Mecha Link ability, which It allows the orcs to heal D3 wounds to the vehicle that is lost in the movement phase, and adds 1 to the hit roll of said vehicle. So I think we'll see some more mechs in orc armies if speed walls are gonna be dominant. And of course, it says here at the top, the battle wagon having a firing deck of 22. Crazy, but I mean that is
Pretty
orcs,
good. You
right?
got 22 orcs inside the battle wagon shooting out. That's pretty nice.
Yeah. Lots of DACA. Then we go on to the Torox, which allows this thing to advance and still deploy units, but obviously cannot charge, which is nice if you want to get like a kill team up there, right? Kill team up fast to destroy 1 unit. That's nice. The Space Marines have 2 things here. They got the Land Raider getting access to its assault ramp again, which means passengers can declare charge the same turn as they disembark. So we're going back to those days.
Big thing too is Primaris can go inside Land Raiders now, and non-Primaris can go inside Repulsors and stuff. So definitely hyped about putting Terminators and Repulsors.
Yes, that is the other big news. Is well, we didn't really. I didn't really catch it last week. Yeah, no Primaris keywords on the vehicles, so no restrictions. So I mean, well, there's still a little restrictions, but basically any Marine can go in any vehicle now, and that includes the drop pod. So maybe the drop pods will have use again, because I'm not gonna lie, I haven't seen a drop pod since 7th edition.
Same.
That's how hard the drop pods had fallen off of meta. Because the big thing that drop pods had in 7th edition, no mishap. If they landed on a person or a dangerous terrain, you know, they just like slightly moved over and then come out kicking ass. In this edition, having to be deployed 9 inches away hurts the drop pods a bit, but who knows? It'd be nice to see like a blade guard coming out of the drop pods.
That'd be kind of cool.
And then I can finally take the Black Templar Land Raider. I'm blanking on the name, but it'll be nice to finally have a reason to buy that, and then put like my my Blade Guard in there. Now that they can finally go in. Of course, I'd have to buy the land. And I don't know about that.
Yeah, they're probably getting a $90 model that came out a decade ago.
Yep, a nice little shoebox. But there you go. Even Centurions can get into the repulsor here. So very, very cool stuff. Guard are getting the mobile command vehicles. Basically, their leader can just if their leader's in the transport is basically the leader, so you can still issue orders and all that from the transport instead of the model individually. So definitely giving him more range to do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Falcon. Oh boy, the Falcon. I haven't seen you in a while. There's been experiments, but nothing ever concrete. And this is going to get supporting fire. Whatever the Whatever the Falcon shoots at, the unit that disembarked from it will get reroll wound rolls against that unit that the Falcon is shooting at. So definitely trying to make transports a lot more alluring would be the word I would use, giving him these abilities. But I do wonder what the point cost is going to be for them.
It also depends on, I think, the meta for, well, I guess the missions, because if missions have, I don't know, right, maybe deployment is easy. Maybe it's easy to deploy forward. Maybe terrain is going to be more dense. Who knows? Because transport's primary role is to get a unit from point A to point B without getting shot at. So I think the question now is, how crucial would it be to get a unit from point A to point B? Because currently it doesn't seem that they don't seem that popular. I think it's just better to get more things that could do stuff rather than get more things that could move your other things. So yeah, in addition to points cost, I think a big thing too is how the game is in general. If transports die easily, if they like they do now, or if they're reasonably tanky with the new vehicle rules and they could get a unit where they need to be. And again, if the unit still needs to get where it needs to be, maybe it's easier to outflank. Maybe missions have deeper deployments. I don't know, right? It's a lot. I guess what I'm saying is there's a lot of factors that have to come into play to really decide, make us decide if transports are that worth it in the grand scheme of things. Now, if you want, obviously, if you want your assault blade guard unit to get into combat ASAP, then a transport would be great for that, no question. But in terms of how impactful they would be for the game as a whole, who knows?
Well, that's true. We still don't know what the missions are, what the scenarios are going to be looking like. But given the information that we got, I mean, it's looking nice. The vehicles are looking good. A Falcon looks like it could be taken, but that's always the thing, right? There's a reason why the Falcon's not taken. It's because the Wave Serpent does everything so much better.
Yeah.
But who knows? We'll have to wait and see what comes up. But that is the vehicles, or the transports, I should say. We'll have to wait and see what we get out of this. But moving on to the next thing, which John said a little bit of, we have terrain is now simpler, which I'm okay with. The whole argument of dense cover, heavy cover, obscuring cover, all this other stuff, just let's make it simpler. So, they have cover will be on everything, which will give you the anytime you're attacked by a range attack, that's the key thing here. Range attacks get the benefit of cover of adding 1 to their saving throw. Except invulnerable saves, which, normal. And models with a save characteristic of 3 or better cannot have a benefit of cover with attacks of armor penetration characteristic of 0. So Space Marines, Terminators, basically will not get any benefit of cover if the AP is 0. So no Space Marines will get a 3-up armor or 2-up armor save for being in cover. Which
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Go ahead.
I'm okay with that.
I think from a gameplay standpoint, I like it, but from a thematic standpoint, I kind of hate it. I mean, 40K has never gotten cover right, I think, ever since I played it. 30K as well. Fantasy got cover right, I think, or it's a modifier to the to hit roll, because like in this case, it makes no sense that a Space Marine behind the wall is just as tough as a Space Marine in the open against bolters. Assuming bolters are AP0, right? It just kind of makes no sense to me. Like the wall is there in front of him, it should do something. Now, from a gameplay perspective, I get it. It's a balancing thing where you don't want 3-up save things to have a 2-up save, or 2-up save things to have a 1-up save so they ignore AP -1 or whatever, right? But again, thematically, I much rather the game just be balanced around the idea of cover existing. And the easiest thing is to make it a modifier to the hit roll. That's what fantasy does. That's what a lot of other D6 based games still do is cover gives you a modifier to the hit roll.
Mm-hmm.
But that would also again rebalance the game because now everything will benefit from cover. It makes shooting not as good, and it's also a huge advantage to being in cover. So it disincentivizes you from not being in cover. So I got arguments against it, but again, like just for me thematically, I don't like this rule. But for balance purposes, I'm fine with it. One day they'll get cover right in 40k, but it is not today.
Well, by the time they do that, they'll have morale
I know.
figured
Then,
out.
well, but will they get properly first? Morale or cover? Who knows?
We'll have to find out. But yeah, there we go. So that is going to be the normal thing. Kind of going back to the old days of 7th and what, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th edition, where you get +1 save for the cover that you're in. There's no added benefits. So as it says, no multiple instances of benefited cover are not cumulative. So can't be stacking all the terrain that you're going on. And they've narrowed it down to craters, barricades, debris, hills, woods, or roofs. So starting with the crater. Each range attack allocated to infantry models are wholly on top of this terrain feature as the benefit of cover against range attacks. Plain and simple.
Yep.
Just get benefit of cover. Barricades have the engagement range. So basically you'd be able to attack models within 2 inches, given the complexity of the pipes, which honestly I don't think anyone would ever really use. Maybe I'm just being narrow-minded and thinking of my game group where we don't really use the pipes or barricades too much, but
Yeah, I think these rules would make people want to use them more because it makes them less unwieldy.
yeah. But you'll get that. Debris. You just get the generic benefit of cover. Hills and sealed structures. Trying to remember here. Basically just a LOS kind of thing, which makes sense, right? Wouldn't be able to shoot anyone behind a hill or a shield structure. Woods. Models and units wholly within the terrain feature, never considered to be fully visible to the observing model. Similarly, if models are not wholly within this terrain feature, must look through or over this terrain feature in order to draw line of sight to one another models. Then that other model is never considered to be fully visible to that observing model. And so it will have the benefit of cover, its terrain feature, aircraft and towering, which I'm gonna assume is gonna be Titanic. Titanic keyword, pretty much, like knights and stuff. What I'd be assuming what towering would mean. Models are exceptions to this. Visibility from such models is determined normally, even if the terrain feature is wholly in between them and the observing models. And models wholly within this feature cannot see out of it normally. So if you're in it, it looks like you'll get a -1 to hit, maybe. Is what I'm gathering from it. So kind of like old fantasy where you're in the terrain, basically getting cover from all the trees. But of course you got to be wholly within.
Mm-hmm.
and obviously the benefit of cover. Ruins are getting the plunging fire, which is each time a model is wholly within the terrain feature, makes a range attack. If that model is 6 inches or more vertically from the ground level, every model in that unit, in that target unit at ground level, improve the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. So, I feel like I misread that. So I guess blanking on this one. Want to help me out
Which one
here?
exactly? The
The plundering fire, plunging fire.
so essentially, if you're higher. Okay, so first of all, if you're 6 inches higher than than ground level, and you're targeting someone on ground level, you get +1 AP. So this is a pretty big change because this is the first time in a long time where you get a flat bonus to attacking if you're taller, if you're in a higher position than the enemy, which is pretty nuts if you think about it.
True. It is nice, considering you are climbing up the building to murder whoever's up on top.
Right.
So it is a good benefit to the ruins. They're still doing the thing where uh it can block visibility. You won't be able to shoot on the ground level a model through a window if they're completely behind the terrain, and so they're still keeping that around. So ruins are pretty much staying the same, but they are having that new rule of plunging fire. So I don't know why my brain just shut down reading this one, but I'm liking the terrain features a lot better. I felt like ninth edition was not really utilized well on the terrain. It was either people forgot about the terrain, like how it worked and stuff. It's needlessly complicated for what it
Yeah,
was.
it really is just incredibly complicated, which I'm glad they're making more simplified or more simple.
Yeah, because I mean, my group, I just said, this is this, and we're not going to worry about the rest of it. And it was always like, so wait, what does dense cover do again? What does light cover give? What benefit does that give you again? It's just, no. Everything here gives you +1 to your save, unless you already have a 3-up save. Much simpler, easier to explain. But that is that. That is all the 10th edition news that we've gotten this week. I'm sure we'll get a lot more this Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Right? It goes to the first
Yes, it'll
Warhammer
be
Fest.
Saturday.
Right, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, right? Yeah, look at that thing. Yes, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Okay. We'll know more when the playtest gets shown live. But we got one more Warhammer news, and that is obviously New Model Monday. And we got the Wing Tyrant Prime. And there it is. No one's glory. What do you think? As a former
Uh,
Tyranid player.
I mean, it's interesting because it doesn't look like the current Tyranid Prime that we have. It's quite different from the current Tyranid Prime. I mean, it's probably the same size, but he looks more like a Hive Tyrant than a Tyranid Prime, which is a kind of a cool redesign, actually. I do like that. I'm not saying that the difference is bad. I like the difference, but I want to point out that he does look quite different from the current Tyranid Prime, which is essentially just looks like a Tyranid warrior, kind of like a warrior lieutenant, which is what primes are. They're just lieutenant Tyranid warriors.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's interesting. I want to see a 360. I want to see if his wings are on his back or if they're the lower. I think they're on his back. But the pose is quite interesting. You rarely see these in Tyranids where the wings are not spread out. It reminds me of a lot of Vampire Counts models, like the
I'm
Varghite.
glad you said that because that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. Which makes sense because, they do have their wings like this. And I do wonder if we'll see some Shrikes, which are wing Tyranid warriors, or if they'll just be kind of there to lead Harpies and Gargoyles. So, yeah, I mean, it's a cool. Maybe it's in the video. The 3 sticks. Yeah, actually, yeah, no, the wings are kind of in the lower arm. Actually, that's kind of interesting on the video. Um, yeah, it's a very interesting model. I do like it. If I played Tyranids, I would be super excited about painting this model. And yeah, I like it. I don't even have any notes of how it could be better. It does its job, and yeah, more stuff like this, please.
No, we're gonna get more because there was you know, a little image of the new Rippers. So, in some like, God, where was it? What's it? It's in a picture where the drop pod and the Space Marines were fighting the Tyranids, and you could just barely see a picture of like one of the Ripper swarms. But Ripper swarms are gonna get the treatment, and I'm sure many more Tyranid models are
The
coming their
Rippers,
way.
I'm surprised. I thought they would go with the Forge World thing, which is like a giant, ginormous Ripper swarm. But it looks like they'll just do a kind of like what we had before, which is you glue individual Rippers to a base. So
I would much prefer the Forge World one, to be
yeah,
honest. Because that looks scary.
right.
When you see the individual ones, I'm like, doesn't have the
And
same impact.
Nurglings have the same kind of thing, right?
Yep, I know.
So yeah, I do wish they did that. But I mean, I'm not complaining. It's fine.
It's all fine. We're getting new models in the end. So, what more could the Tyranids players like? Knowing that they're 40k fans, they would like a lot more because we always want more. Never satisfied with what we have.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But yeah, that is all the news. Like I said, a very short episode this week because not much
Yeah,
at all.
Warhammer Fest coming up, so
Well, yeah, that'll be the big whammy episode right there. But yeah, I guess we can just talk about stuff. What'd you do?
not too much. I just doing some light painting on my word bearers. I don't think did I do gaming last week? I don't think I did much gaming last week. Now that I think about it. Yeah, yeah, not too much wargaming.
A
Did
very
some board
quiet
gaming
week,
and
huh?
Magic, but I think I was just super busy with work during the week, so I couldn't really get some games in.
I
But
find it
yeah,
surprising given how
I
many
know,
leagues
right?
you're in.
I know, right? Thankfully, the league was also busy, so I didn't need to play games then. I don't know if I mentioned, but I did get first place on the 30K league at Geeky Tees, so the Mechanicum seized the day.
That's because Mechanicum are cheap. It's the Codex creep.
It's it's funny because they're super nerfed from last. I just kind of took the best units in my army, and there's not a lot of them. So, and also that's the lie. I didn't overtune my list, to be honest. I just happened to take. It's a thing with 30K is when you play 30K, you assume like, oh, like I'll be playing Space Marines, and then some guy comes up with an army that can drop pipe plates and move while doing so. And you're like, and you realize, oh, I really gotta get into combat, but you realize too late, and you try to outshoot them, and yeah, it just doesn't work. So it's just one of those things where it's a different army than what people are used to, so people aren't used to how to fight it.
Of course.
Which is where my advantage comes from, because yeah, again, people don't know that, so they will they'll try to fight like a Space Marine army. It's like, yeah, that doesn't work like that.
Well, very good. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Let's see. For me, we did some Warcry. That was
Nice.
fun. Of course, as I've stated many times before, I really enjoy Warcry. We did some Deepkin versus some Corn Demons. And that was it was a close game. Close game on that
Nice.
one. But the eels are just too OP.
Yeah, they're pretty
Especially
tough in Warcry.
especially the four ability. Oh my god. So dirty, so cheap. For those who don't know, it's the Biovotic Blast, I think is what it's called. Where whatever your 4 dice are, you do that much damage to everyone within 3 inches of you. So if your 4 stack is a 6, you're doing 6 damage to everyone within 3 inches of you. And that is just...
That's pretty good.
that's brutal. Like, I feel dirty. I feel dirty every time I play my Deepkin in Warcry.
Yeah.
But we did that. And yeah, I just painted. Painted up some more Shadows of Brimstone. I just got an email today about Shadows of Brimstone Kickstarter locking down its orders and mailing out. So all I can say is it finally happening.
Nice.
We're finally gonna get it after 4 years. We're
That's
finally
good.
gonna get it. I mean, it's not the longest Kickstarter I've waited for something, but goddamn, have we been waiting for this moment? But yeah, that's pretty much it on my end. I just plan to do more painting, more games, and just getting ready for 10th as I continue my hiatus in 9th edition, because why practice something that's going to be completely different?
Right. It's that lull between before the new edition.
Mm-hmm. So I'll have to figure out what me and the boys are going to do this week, but we've got plenty of games to play, and that's the best part about our hobbies, right?
Oh
Got
yeah.
plenty of stuff. I've got people who are completely into board games, who have tons of board games, and I've got another friend who's into like 20 other different tabletop war games. So our well is not dry. We can do whatever we want. But on that note, I'd like to thank everyone who made it to the end. And we'll see you next time.
Later, everyone.